Is it doing it?
We're good.
All right. It is 7:02. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Arnold,
Here.
Beckwith,
Here.
Farcapisi,
Here.
Flores, absent, Kotsinis,
Here.
Hamilton,
Here.
Sutton, absent. We have a quorum.
Split.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Warren Newport Public Library District provides the community with access to information, kindles the imagination of children and adults, and supports lifelong learning. Anyone want to speak in public comment?
Before we do, I'd like to move that we allow Celeste to
Yeah.
join remotely.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain.
Just look at the phone number here.
We don't want to call her from the Polycom?
We are.
We want
Yeah.
to, but we need to know how to.
Yeah. Sorry, George.
Hey,
Hello. Welcome in.
thanks.
Okay, so does anyone want to speak in public comment? Any correspondence?
No, we don't have
I
it.
have one.
Okay.
This is an email that I got, I don't know, 10 days ago or so, and I'll just pass it around for everyone to read. It's a good thing. All right, nothing else on this? No other? Okay, Andrea, consent agenda.
I would like to move minutes from the last board meeting from the consent agenda. Remove, not move.
Okay, anyone else? All right, who'd like to make the motion?
I move that the consent agenda be approved as amended.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain.
All right.
Okay, now, why don't you explain why you wanted to remove Andrea?
Because unlike George remembered this time, it wasn't remembered last time, so I missed public comment and I can't.
And someone did
I'm
speak in
going to
public
abstain.
comment that time too.
Yes, they did.
So, okay, so I move that the minutes of the regular meeting be approved as presented.
With a roll call vote?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm waiting for a second.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All right, let's have a roll call.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Sutton, absent. Arnold,
Aye.
Farcapisi,
Abstain.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Okay. President's report, page 19. Anything on that?
A lot of hours.
Yeah, I'm getting it done. Any other trustees have a report?
I'll make a report. Was here this weekend for the Warren Library 50th anniversary event. It was a great shindig.
It was.
We had an excellent turnout. It was lovely to see the library just full of people again.
Yeah, it was a party.
I could hardly find a place to park.
I never saw so many people in the library at once before, and the staff did a fabulous job.
Yep,
It
they
was
did.
the trio of people who were, the music was fantastic.
Especially the Leanne Williams Jazz Trio, which I
And
just got the name up.
my maybe future daughter-in-law, who's just starting in library science, she was so excited to see all of the things taking all kinds of stuff, saying, I'm stealing ideas when we're giving them away, so it was wonderful everywhere around.
Yeah, we should do that more often.
And probably
Have a birthday party.
a little bit, every year.
BYOB.
Bring your own book.
Okay, anything else?
And next year, next 5 years, we can bring alcohol and charge big money for it.
Oh my, okay, Ryan.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention, Saturday, I think in terms of the way we counted for the party, we counted 850-ish people, but the door count, we had 1,635 people walk through the door on Saturday, which was good. So that was great, and this was done under as I've talked to the board about changing our processes. We have these different committee structures, including a formal programming committee, which is collaboration across different departments. And one of the nice things about this event is usually when we've had these big events, at least since I've been here, a lot of it involves all the staff. It's always a team effort, but a lot of it's driven by admin. And really, this was led by that programming committee. And I mean, we certainly contributed, but it was nice that they drove it, and I think it showed some of the creative elements of that event that if it had been driven by admin, probably wouldn't have been there. So I was really that's one of the things I was happiest about, and just seeing the full the community that we represent. I think many aspects of our community were represented at that event. If you looked at the diversity we had, it was just awesome. So that was really great. Yesterday we had a leadership retreat. So. Managers and supervisors, we went off campus. We went to the University Center at CLC primarily, but we did some other team building activities. We did an escape room. We talked a lot about the strategic plan and started to kind of formulate that. So that was a really good event. And it was, I think, important because if you look at our leadership team, there are a lot of new faces, right, in the past year or so. So we're still getting to know each other. So that was good. Celeste joined me last Thursday morning at Zion Benton for an event with Senator Edley Allen, State Senator Edley Allen, and we just had a really great meeting. It was us and several other libraries that she serves, and just a really good conversation. She's a big advocate of libraries. She already knew a lot about some of the issues we had talked about, so I was really encouraged by that, and impressed once again by Trustee Flores' connections, because as Senator Edley Allen came in, it's like, oh, Celeste, you're on everything. I get to see you again. So, I appreciate Celeste with these connections that she's helping us build with elected officials. Moving on to one bit of negative news. So, a couple of Thursday nights ago, we had several incidents happened at the library. And the most disturbing incident was a fight among some essentially middle school kids. And what happened was these two kids were kind of picking on this one kid. They were kind of like slapping, messing around with him, and I think he got irritated, and he decided to just take a shot at one of the kids, kind of a cheap shot. And he kind of ran, if you look at the security camera, he ran away kind of like this. And he ran towards the security station where he thought Felix would be, our security supervisor. Well, Felix was not there because he was seeing another patron in the vending area. And so this young man proceeded to go behind the desk, and these two other kids followed, and they started to get into a fight with staff behind.
The circulation desk?
Behind the circulation desk. Fortunately, staff were not injured. They got out of the way. Felix is our one staff member that is trained on how to break up a fight. If it had been anyone else, they would have called the police and waited. But he has training, so he's able to pull them apart and break up the fight, fortunately. And Will was also here, and Will quickly called 911. They worked really well as a team. And I think after that, we're starting to have some more conversations about things that we can do. And I think that made some staff a bit uneasy. So I think that just reinforces the need for a new security cameras. One of the things I want to explore when we look at our next budget, and I need to get some quotes on this, is maybe having a security building consultant come in. The schools have these consultants that come in and look at your security. Well, I want to get a quote on that and see if that's feasible for us to do. I think that would make staff feel better. And we're going to have a meeting with the Gurnee Police Department to kind of talk about this event too and some other things that have happened. So just so the board's aware of that. Any questions about that or anything so far? I'm kind of going
I think it's
fast.
a great idea.
Were they expel's the wrong word, what's the patrons?
Yes,
Barred from the library
Yeah.
for a certain time.
yes. So, the people who were involved in the incident itself, have received a 1-year banning from the library.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The other thing, I think I'll bring it up here, I could bring it up under next year's budget, but so, we have removed 15 of what were the ECF hotspots. There's an update, like, I think the day after the last board meeting, Smriti found out that since they ended the funding, I guess, for the ECF program, we are no longer obligated to circulate those hotspots under the guidelines of ECF. So now we are free to end the program, which we've already started the process of doing, because one of the things about the program, and one of the reasons those hotspots haven't circulated as well as they could have, is because you've got to you have to register, you have to sign off on a piece of paper. So Rebecca had a really good idea, and something we really need to do for the next budget anyway. Right now, all those hotspots that we have them in that telephone line, when the majority of those hotspots really are circulating materials. If you think about the Rokus we added to the collection, we have those under our materials budget. So my thinking is, for the rest of this fiscal year, because those other 10 hotspots are out, we were going to pull 25, but you can place a hold and wait for them to come back. You can't pull them out until patrons have returned them. So our thinking is, leave those 10 in circulation and pay for them out of our existing materials budget. But I wanted to bring this up to the board to make sure the board was, in essence, okay with this, since they're being used, and there is money in the budget if you take it out of materials. And then when we look at next budget year, money that we have for hotspots in that telephone line, I want to move into materials. You might recall a couple weeks ago we looked at materials, it was a little thin. That should help bridge that gap in terms of percentage spent on materials. So what does the board think about this idea?
I once again have the question, is it the same people churning, 5 members in the same family, or 3 churning it? So basically we're supplying free Wi-Fi for a year for everybody. Or are they being checked out by different people? If it's the same people, the same house, who has just always got the hotspots, I'm not for that. But if it's different people, like when George took one on vacation, or, I went away and they weren't available, but if it's different people, I'm for it. If it's the same people and we're basically got a bookmobile situation where we're
Yeah.
spending a lot of money just to support 5 patrons, or in this case 10, then I'm not for it.
Is there a way, and because I know you've asked for this before, and is there I know we can't obviously run a list of names
With
tied
the
to circulation.
ECF hotspots, I do know that those are unique users, because we have to keep the names for 10 years per that grant. We had a list of those patrons, so I do know that those were many unique patrons. And we also wanted to do these, we're calling them hotspots, meaning people can't place holds on them. And they're always out. So those are, again, going to people who are not able to place holds or keep them. So I do feel like it maybe started a little bit that way. It's expanded so much that they're going to a lot of people in the community.
Good to know.
And I'll say something. I think that's an excellent idea to move these into materials. I've been saying we should do more of this for a while, because this is not, something that is being used by staff. It's not overhead. This goes to our core mission, providing information to people. Let's count it as what it is.
Makes sense.
Right. So we'll go ahead and do that then. Okay.
Will all the hotspots be treated in the same way?
We'll have the 10 hot spots, which are the
Super
quick,
hot.
yeah.
Right.
Which if you got kind of like the hot picks books, when you take this, you get it for a limited periods. But other than that, yeah, they'll all be treated the same.
And then next year they'd all be in materials?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we have some hot spots that we have for staff use, which will not, but with those few exceptions, yeah, they'll all be materials is the idea. So
Let's take a look at what we can afford. Not necessarily do everyone, I mean, if we can afford everyone, we'll do everyone, but let's see where the budget's at for that.
yeah, of course.
Okay.
And then I think that's it for the executive director's report. Any questions about the report itself? There's also a memo that we discussed. A couple of updates. So just to clarify things, that there was the patron a few weeks ago that was upset about the anonymous phone calls, and just to be clear, if this isn't clear in the memo, as one of the fallout from the so-called First Amendment auditor person, we had a really threatening phone call, which we actually did receive from the anonymous. It was a blocked phone call, and we did report it to the Gurnee Police Department. So after that, we decided, let's forward any phone call from anonymous into a voice mailbox, which we'll actually monitor. And then if it is a legitimate call, someone wants to study room, or they wanted to book tax prep help, we'll get right back to them. That's what we were doing. So the patron that was here last week, we did know and talked to staff, and we've since discontinued that because it doesn't seem to be an issue. That was a temporary measure. So, and then Joe asked me about this. There may be some confusion. This other memo had to do with the two-factor authentication. And what that is, if you're not aware, if you think about it, this happens all the time. You know what it is without even knowing it. You log into a website because you're trying to pay a bill or something, and it says, we're going to send you a code to your cell phone, and you need to put that in to log in. George had the good point of finding out, well, let's find out what staff are comfortable using the authenticator versus the Ubiki, which is that device, and we've got that data now. So that's what that information's about. So we'll talk more about that as we get deeper into the budget, if there are questions about that.
Anything else on that? No. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm not good.
Ryan.
Yes.
And then I don't know if you would have a chance to have read the proclamation that the Senator Johnson brought to the library on Saturday.
I have not had a chance to dig into it. I should bring it, though, to a future meeting, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's probably just in recognition and congratulating us on our anniversary. It's something that state senators and state representatives can do, and sometimes they'll read them on the floor, like in Springfield, and I can, talk more about that when I'm in person, but just wanted to make everyone aware that Senator Johnson did put something together to recognize the hard work of the library.
Thank you, Celeste. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was cool. It was really very cool and unexpected, so.
Okay, anything else on Ryan's report? Okay, so you have more to say about strat planning?
Yeah, just you'll want to look this week. The intent is by Friday to have all the data that we collected. I mean, there'll be a summary, but we had over 1,000 responses to the community survey. So I'm going to give you all the data from the community survey. You'll have the notes from the cafe with the community engagement task force, with our community partners, and then with the public. And I'm also going to send you might recall we have that product, that Gale Analytics product, and I'm going to give you the latest summary of the district so you can see how the demographics have changed. It's really interesting. I think the big takeaways from that you'll see are the community continues to get older, and it continues to get more diverse, especially with the growth of Spanish speakers in our community. So I think it's roughly about 25%. So I'm looking forward to, and I think we'll have some kind of template for a strategic plan that when we meet Saturday, the 29th, the board can start to fill in the gaps and see what we can get done that morning. So I think there are definitely themes that have emerged, and I think we talked a lot about it on Monday about areas where we need to focus. And I think I'm excited. I'm excited about being close to the finish line with that, right? So, I mean, I shouldn't say that, we still have to draft it, but I feel like we've got a lot of great feedback, and it confirms some things that we thought we knew. So does anyone want a paper copy of that, or is it okay if I send it electronically? Because there's a lot of pages. Electronic, okay. If you change your mind, let me know.
Okay. Anything else?
On that, no, not.
All right, succession planning. This is my bad. I've been forgetting to say this for the last 2 meetings, which is that Bonnie does not want to be the secretary anymore. And so when I look around, let's see, we've got a president, We have Celeste as vice president. We have a policy chair. We have a treasurer and a treasurer
In waiting.
in waiting. So I'll volunteer to, I've been the secretary before, unless someone else wants it. If someone else wants it, say so. Otherwise, I'll just do it.
We will definitely nominate you.
Okay.
I don't think there'll be anybody who
Okay.
will want to run against you.
Okay. I'd kind of like to have another job besides just showing up anyway, so that'd make me happy too, so. Okay, anything else have any concerns about this? Because I think it's pretty falling into place. Okay, budget.
I just thought I would spend a minute or two and just cover a few things I didn't get a chance to. I don't have an updated budget for you tonight, but I wanted to, you will recall at the Committee of the Whole, we ran out of time. I just mentioned
That won't happen tonight.
I just mentioned the need to, I think, at least look at some kind of building security consultant and see get a quote and see what that might cost us, see if we can afford to do that. Other increases in the budget that you couldn't see by just looking at that budget, translation service increase, so we're doing more and more translations, particularly for Spanish speakers, so there is an increase in that line. New budget items that we didn't have last year, that space planning study, which was really important. I think we'd all agree that it made sense to do that, even though it will be somewhat pricey. I think the quotes have around $10,000, which I know sounds pricey, but what they do is they look at your facility and how your community is changing, and then they give recommendations. And I think that would be something as we, look in the next, 10, 15 years, it probably will identify some needs of modifying the space that I'm sure we won't be able to do all at once, but at least we'll have to.
Changing walls.
Well, the idea behind this is that they, this is one of those things that they recommend in the Standards of Illinois libraries. I think they recommend you do it every, I'm not sure how many years, but
Yeah, it
but
was
we
from
have,
the standard.
yeah, we haven't done it at least in 8.5 years since I've been here. So, but I think that's okay because I think we knew,
Well, we had the renovation.
well, we just had the renovation.
Which they must have taken that into consideration at the time.
Yeah, and then the changes we've made have kind of been, things that we observed that we knew. I think it was pretty obvious that we needed that point for that age between the Cocos Cove and then the vault.
What
I think
we did with the flex space.
Yeah, the flex space. It was an opportunity. It was a space that was underutilized, which is getting amazing usage now. Now that we really had a chance, we did it November 2019, and then COVID it, and then finally now that I feel like we're pretty much back to normal, we use that space for everything: meetings, programs. It gets a lot of use. But I think now we're quiet reading rooms. But I think now we're at a point to look at it big picture post COVID. Let's see what it tells us, and it will be help us with the budget, planning the budget in the future. Because I'm sure whatever comes out of the report, there'll probably be things that we won't be able to do in the short term. But at least we'll have an idea where we need to go. There's education tuition requests from 2 staff if we can afford to do so. One of those is a Spanish-speaking staff member. We did try to hire Spanish-speaking MLS, and that is like finding a unicorn these days. So we thought, okay, well, maybe we can grow our own. So that I really hope we are able to afford those education tuition requests. And as the board, I think, is well aware, in the past that has been very fruitful for us. We've had a lot of staff members that have contributed a lot when we've assisted them. And a couple of wish list items. We are prepared to do our compensation analysis study ourselves, but we have that in the budget right now. It's probably one of the first things to come out. I think we can do it. Honestly, I have mixed feelings about that being in the budget because it'll be a lot of work for us to do it, but I think the tools are there, and I don't know how much you really get when you hire a consultant for that. So something called, there are 2 software products we're looking at. One is Patron Point, one is Orange Boy. And think about it as like our analytics on demand that we have now married with Constant Contact. And it basically, these are kind of more advanced tools that allow you to do more targeted marketing. Admittedly, that we're still learning about these. I think they're going to be pricey, but we at least want to look at them and see if it's not something we can afford or if something we would want to do. But I think one of the things we're learning is that with a community such as ours, everyone, the different groups of people, you have to market to them in different ways. So that might be a really powerful tool for us. We'll see how much it costs and if it makes sense.
Ryan, just a
Yeah,
question on
mhm.
that. So we had a great turnout at the 50th. Do
Mhm.
we know how we got word out to everybody? And what was most successful?
I'm not sure about how we know what was most successful, but we really utilized partners in helping us advertise. And we did it in a number of ways. We did email blasts, we did, paper, we did it on social media. So we kind of like all methods of promotion. Yes. We also, as people were in the library for the last 3 weeks, we basically invited everyone, so personally. So that was kind of, we've noticed how amazing that is. If we have papers out, people don't know that they're for them. If you say, would you like this? Then it's just, you could see the like light bulb on people's face. So that was a nice realization.
Yeah. And then some staff training. This is not a new thing, but I think that now more staff are interested in traveling to conferences. So that you'll see a bump in the budget for staff training because of that. So those are some of the wish list items, newer things that were added to the budget we didn't talk about last time that will, as we continue to tweak it, we'll see what we can afford, what we can't afford. So. And we'll look at a new version of the budget next at the committee of the whole. We'll also talk about maybe using some of, figuring out if we wanted to, I think, add money to the endowment fund and then maybe use the endowment fund. So I had a conversation, which I'll talk more about at the committee of the whole, about maybe using some money from the endowment fund from one of the major contributors to it this past week. So I'll share that with the board, committee of the whole.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, decennial committee.
Well, I think Celeste can maybe add to this, but I think Celeste was successfully able to recruit Ed Gallagher to the committee. Celeste, is he confirmed for sure, or just he's interested and we need to do more work with Ed?
He's definitely interested. He just, had flagged, which I had emailed to you and Joe, that he was going to be out for part of the month in June for his honeymoon. He recently got married. So I told him that I couldn't remember offhand when I spoke with him if we were planning to convene in May or in June.
The
For that first
requirement
meeting.
is that we have the first meeting before the 10th. Is that not correct?
Correct.
10th of June.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, and so we were going to do it, the meeting, were we going to do it at committee of the whole June? But that's the one he can't make, correct?
Correct. He
Yeah.
is out of town from June 3rd to June 14th.
Okay, so we would have to do it at the
May.
May regular
Or
meeting.
could we do it at the special meeting right after or before? Don't we have
On
a
April,
meeting?
April 29th?
Yeah.
I mean, we could.
Well, we have to form the committee is the only prime question. So
Sweet,
as
yeah.
long as we have a special meeting on the agenda, as long as we have it on the agenda of a special meeting to form this committee, we can do so. Then just schedule it to coincide with whatever we want.
Yeah, I can look into
We all
the,
have to be there on the 29th anyway. I guess that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that.
that makes sense,
Yeah.
because it could be a 5-minute affair.
Right. Can you check with him and see if he could do that, Celeste?
Well, he wouldn't have to be there
Yeah.
that day, right?
No, I believe he would.
Not the day that we form the committee. He would have to be there the day that we
Have our first meeting.
have the first committee meeting.
Oh, is
We-
that what it says?
Our
I don't
first
have the
committee
document.
meeting has to happen before June 10th. Before the committee can happen, you have to appoint the committee as president of the board. And we need either a special meeting or a regular meeting to do that.
Oh, I see.
So we can set it so that you can appoint the committee during the special meeting, set the meetings, or set the first meeting of the special committee to coincide with our next either board meeting or committee of the whole meeting,
Okay,
Which still has to be in May then,
which would have to be in May,
before the.
so we get it before June.
right, so what happens if we have one person who can come to one time and one person who can come the other time?
I don't know that that's clear, honestly. That's a question that I need to ask.
Do we have our second person yet?
Well, I am playing phone tag with Mike Barr. He did express in a voicemail interest in participating, but he wants to learn more. He's been out of town on business, so I anticipate next couple of days I'll get a hold of him and we'll be able to talk about it. So it's so no, but it's possible.
So it's kind of up in the air.
Let me see.
But we could add the appointing to the 29th, so I'll make a note about that. You have something else?
No, that's
okay.
that's all. I just wanted to look.
All right,
to,
any
to
other
see.
concerns about the committee? Okay, not for right now. Statement of economic interest.
Yeah, there are just two trustees that have not filed yet. I had a conversation with one of them earlier, so the second one I will reach out to. I don't want to. Well, I guess it's okay. It's public information. It's Celeste. That's the other one I haven't had a conversation with. So.
I'll do it.
Sorry, Celeste. But...
You're gonna be the last one, Celeste. I'm gonna beat you.
And there are a few staff that haven't, and the staff that haven't are new to doing it. So I'm just gonna, and we've talked about it, but I'll reach out to them individually and have a conversation just to make sure they don't get questions. So.
All right, any items for next meetings that aren't on here? Okay. All right, anyone want to speak in public forum? Any other announcements besides what's on here? Who would like to move to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
I could tell it was gonna be a contest. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. All right.
Yeah.
7:35.
Thanks, Celeste.
Close, but not near.
Bye, Celeste.
Thanks, Celeste.
Bye, Celeste. Bye, Celeste.